Auzubillahiminashaitanirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Ji ayanu pakhair agale ni hao chunashume washmale ohio gonzaimus. And very warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for tuning into PTV World. You are definitely watching World this morning. First things first. Alongside me, obviously, I have the very well learned Miss Hajra Satti, and I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan. Hello, Hajra. How are you doing today?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for introducing me, Shahzad. So I have a really interesting news which my producer obviously told us. That is about the Google has introduced a solution, especially for those people who are really worried about their doctor's prescription because the doctor's handwriting is usually not very readable.
Yeah.
It's unfathomable. So what Google has done is that they have introduced a new app in which you put out that subscription or prescription and Google will translate it for you, and that was quite an interesting story. And someone was telling me, one of my friend, because he went to Portugal and he was on the studies in the US, and he said that there is an app actually because he can't understand the local language there, obviously. So he said that he used to take the pictures of those whatever the writings, and he used to upload it on that app, and that app used to translate it for them. And I was like, oh wow, this is such a smart touristy solution.
Exactly.
Google has introduced.
And the best part, Haja, over here is that I have actually used that application
really?
when I was in Thailand too as well. And not just that, today there was this very interesting thing which happened to me, and I don't know whether the viewers might have observed it or not. So I woke up very early in the morning, and it was all because of cold.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, this was for the very first time that I was waking up because I was cold. And I went on to my weather update and saw that it was 8 degrees, and I was like, okay, yeah, it's really getting colder. And imagine, so what I did was that, okay, let's fall back asleep, so I wore a hoodie. I was like, okay, let's make myself warm and sleep.
Okay.
And just the moment when I was trying to fall back asleep, I realized that I have forgotten all my highs and hellos. And that was a problem for me. And so what started to happen was that I was thinking, and I was like, okay, let's say it over and over again. And every time I was saying it, I was falling one hello shorter. And I was like,
I think I noticed that
today
too.
And just now even, this is something, I don't know why is it happening, so I want to give it another try.
Okay.
Okay, so please bear with me. I think, Ji ayanu pakhair agale ni hao chunashume washmale ohio gonzaimus. Guten Morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal, halashuma chatore, ahlan wa sahlan, marhaba, buna, mucho gracias, swabi, ab bhalli kare, hosh gal din. And I was like, adab.
Now it's
I think I've nailed it, and now I'm satisfied as well. And that feeling actually did scare me. I was like, okay, hey, how did that happen?
Yeah.
And then I couldn't realize maybe the brain was really sleepy then.
Okay, so sometimes what happens is because we are suffering from the flu and cold, and I don't know whether it's with you or not, but I do felt that last week I had a really low energy level, especially because I had suffered fever and the cough and whatnot, and I really didn't understand what I was saying. There came a point there was a complete blackout in front of my eyes because that was because of the low energy level, and that is because I feel that the flu, influenzas, and all of these stuff, they are getting stronger and potent by every time, right?
Exactly, and you even mentioned it.
Health,
yeah, you even mentioned it yesterday. And in addition to that, this has happened to me twice, I think, in the previous 2 or 3 weeks, that I stood up and all of a sudden my head spun, and I was like, hey, you know what?
Yes.
What happened to me?
Yes.
And I think, for everybody who's out there, please make sure that you get yourself checked up as well. But there are two things which I wanted to say right at the beginning of this day, ladies and gentlemen. This is something I believe will bring a lot of efficiency, and there will be a lot of result-oriented things which will come out of it. So number one, I think what I wanted to say was that for anybody who's at job, work, business, whatever you are doing, just that responsibility which you are being given by your bosses, or you as a boss, whatever responsibility you think you have, please make sure that you fulfill your responsibility 100%.
True.
And I'm not one of those people who will say 110%, because that does not exist. 100%, okay?
Right.
Make sure that you fulfill your, whatever job description is, your responsibility 100%, number one. Number two, most of the times what I've seen is that when people, because this is something which I was learning the other day as well, that the creative people are always very low in the hierarchy. It's not always the creative people who are at the top of the organization. So what happens is that when creative people go to the people who actually have the top positions, and they start to kind of say whatever they feel, because creative people are very different. They do not believe in hierarchy. They're like, okay, this is what I think.
They're living in their own zone.
Yeah. And that's why they're creative, because they think about things. They do not think about, ab maine kiske paas jana hai, kiske paas nahi. So what I wanted to say was that most of the times I've seen that when creative people walk up to people who are the decision makers or the takers, even before they end up saying what they wanted to pitch, what happens is that that they get to hear a no.
Right.
And that's something which actually kills the flavor. That's something which actually kills the creativity. So for anybody and everybody who's out there, please make sure that you listen to your other peers. Make sure that if it is, if you can do it, make sure that you give it a try. Because even I myself, I've worked with several other organizations, and I certainly do not believe in working with people who all of a sudden, just without even listening to an idea, would say no. And I'm like, okay, I think I'm not going to waste my idea on them, probably pitch it to somebody else. So these two things, if we can do that, I think we can bring in a lot of efficiency.
That's true. And moving on to our top story segment, which is the federal government has announced various steps under its National Energy Conservation Plan, briefing the media persons after the federal cabinet meeting held in Islamabad with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif in the chair. Defence Minister Khwaja Asif said the cabinet accorded approval to National Energy Conservation Plan and also approved policy of austerity measures. Elaborating the plan, Minister said cabinet accorded approval to close down all of the restaurants, hotels and markets by 8 p.m. Similarly, the marriage halls will be closed down till 10 p.m. Moreover, electricity fans, bulbs and geysers will also be made conservation friendly, while street lights will be on alternatively. So I really like this concept of closing down the markets or the restaurants by 8 p.m. I do feel that our markets should open early and then close early, especially what happens especially in the Europe, because I do feel that our markets are getting open really late, especially after 11 or 12, and then they shut down late, and I do feel that this is because our then the sleep cycle gets disturbed and it's not very nature friendly.
I mean, I think for people like me and you who are actually habitual of waking up at 6 in the morning, I think for us it's obviously a very different story.
A lot of people go to work, Shehzad.
I mean, they do. I mean, what I've seen is that a lot of people are actually late for work. That's what I've.
I mean, that shouldn't how it be, right?
Exactly. That's not how it should be. But
Right.
For people, for example, if we're speaking about vendors and shopkeepers, obviously if they're going to open up their shop, for them it's difficult to have like an 8-hour shift on daily basis, and their sales are going to have an impact. Rather, I think what we can do is, because most of the times I've seen the street lights turned on, that too during the daylight.
True.
And we really need to be vigilant about it. But, during the COVID, one thing which we've learned is that the world kept on moving ahead. That too, why people, going back home and then working and then staying at home with their families, online jobs and everything was taking place. So if there's enough feasibility for people to go and work from home, I think that we really need to opt for that. 50% people, half of the week go back home, you do your work over there, and then 50% of the people can come to work, and then next 50% can come in. And obviously, we certainly need to find a way around that.
True.
But not a very good news coming from Afghanistan, ladies and gentlemen, where the Taliban have announced the closure of universities to women in Afghanistan, according to a letter by the Higher Education Minister. The minister says the move is until further notice. It is expected to take effect immediately. It further restricts women's access to formal education, as they were already excluded from most secondary schools. 3 months ago, thousands of girls and women sat university entrance exams across Afghanistan, but sweeping restrictions were imposed on the subjects they could study, with veterinary science, engineering, economics and agriculture off limits, and journalism severely restricted.
I think, Shehzad, this sort of behavior I would call it's very rigid behavior. I don't think so it finds any place in the religion, because if you see Islam, Hazrat Aisha led a very high and advanced public life, and she was one of the person with whom a lot of traditions of Holy Prophet Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam are related, right? And she is one of the first and early jurist of Islam,
True,
we would call it. So
And,
I mean, restricting their access to education, it's no Islam at all. It's just the patriarchy, it's just the rigidity, and I think they need to improve their value system or the norms, because this is now how it should be, and we are living in the 21st century, so come on.
Exactly. And I stand by it fully, and it's because of the fact that imagine that our religion actually tells us that that you really need to educate yourself from back in the days, where even if you had to go to China, please make sure that you do that. And it does not speak of any gender, either male or female. It's for everybody. And I think that they might have this idea of that it might not be very conducive for women to go out to university, so they really need to find a way around that. I think that's what the governments do, right?
I guess, I mean, this is all patriarchy. It has nothing to do with the religion, and I don't think so that it should be it was the case before Taliban took over. So I mean, they need to rethink their ways and adapt to the 21st century, because obviously education is the path to the progress.
Exactly. Now moving on to, ladies and gentlemen, the person who actually bought Twitter a few months ago, and he's not really very happy with it, because Elon Musk has said he will resign as Twitter's chief executive officer when he finds someone foolish enough to take the job. The billionaire promised earlier to abide by the result of a Twitter poll which saw 57.5% of users vote yes to him quitting the role. He says he will still run the software and service teams after his replacement is found. Changes on the platform since his takeover have been much criticized.
And obviously, the way Twitter has been posed, it's a very left-wing sort of a platform, and a lot of journalists are there. And when Elon Musk took over, a lot of journalists were banned, and a lot of countries took strong exception to that, and then they were unbanned on the Twitter. And now there is a debate, especially in the journalistic fraternity, that they should move on to the Mastodon, which is another platform, because Twitter is not conducive enough. So I mean, a lot of people who have this right-wing ideas, they're coming on the Twitter, and Elon Musk has also very rightist sort of policies. So there's a very vigorous sort of debate going on the freedom of expression and whatnot.
Exactly.
Right?
And there's another debate going on as well, and that debate is probably about people who actually, went from Pakistan to the UK,
Okay.
to study, and then obviously, from the very first day they had this intention that they're going to stay back in the UK,
Right.
probably earn more for the family and then send money back home,
Right.
and we have this culture over here, and over the years from 1970s or 1960s, a lot of Pakistanis have been traveling to different parts of the country where a lot of human resource was required, and
Right.
we are rich with human resource, and certainly
True.
this is the way forward for people who might not have had some amazing education or probably not some amazing backgrounds. I think what happened there was, because I have an example in the family that one of my cousins went to the UK, he
Okay.
went there to study, he completed his studies, then he wanted to stay back, because it is, no matter what we say, it is
Right.
a developed country. There are multiple opportunities for people over there, and alhamdulillah, the livelihood is better. So imagine that even if somebody is going to work at a fast food shop, he will still be getting £10 an hour, no matter
True.
what happens. But if you overstay, and you certainly do not have a valid visa, that salary is going to come down to £6 probably
Right.
an hour, and people do take advantage of that. Not just that, so whatever meager amount of money you make, even if you have overstayed, imagine the rest of amount of the money you're actually paying to a solicitor who actually came through a friend, wasn't authorized, and then eventually you end up spending thousands of pounds but still do not get that visa or immigration process through, and you have to come back to Pakistan. So to avoid you from all of this hassle, ladies and gentlemen, today we have an amazing guest over here inside the studios who actually happens to be somebody who is the Solicitor of Supreme Court of England and Wales. He happens to be Mr. Zubair Rashid. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, how are you?
Walaikum Assalam, and very good morning to Pakistan, and thank you very much for having me here.
And thank you very much for flying all the way from England to over here, Pakistan, being on our show. It's
Right.
wonderful to have you over here.
But Shahzad, we've seen that in general there is a very hostile environment towards the migration, and then there's a debate about immigration and the refugees, and generally the Western countries, they're very resistant towards the migration, because they say that there's a right-wing sentiments around Europe. So what's your take on that, especially on the hostility which a lot of people faces, and how to plan your the immigration status, and how to go about it?
Right, immigration is a very sensitive issue in Western countries, especially in Europe, and more particularly in England or Britain. Because remember, Britain is a small country,
Right.
right? It has resources, but it has limited resources. When the whole Asia, when the whole world start to make their ways to the UK, the people get disturbed,
Yeah.
right? So that's why you always see in England, in Britain, time to time, there's always a criticism on the UK immigration policy,
Right.
In the whole Europe, England is like a very favorite child where everybody want to come in, legal or illegal ways.
Exactly.
As he rightly said that in the beginning, when you are on a legal visa, on the right visa, you are fine.
Yeah.
But sooner you become an overstay, right, you start to get exploited.
True.
That's why we are here to give the message to our Pakistani youth or to anybody coming to England, try to stay within your legal visa status.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Don't go
you-
beyond that.
Yes. Otherwise, you end up spending thousands and thousands of pounds for rest of your life, could be up to 20 years.
True.
Because that's how the law works in England. Might sound very, very cruel, but this is how things work over there. You have to stay 20 years, or unless you have a child born there,
Right.
up to 7 years, then you can get sort of immigration status.
Right.
True.
In terms of as you said, that people, England or Britain or Europe has very hostile policy. The reason is that whenever there is a war, whenever there is a war-torn country, they all expect to go to England,
Right.
whether it's Syria, whether it's Iraq, whether it's
But
Afghanistan.
I think there was a lot of racism in those policies because they open-heartedly accepted people from the Ukraine, while the same treatment was meted out to the people from Afghanistan, from Syria, from
But he's not
other
representing the government. I mean, I think he's
No.
here to kind of offer a solution
No,
for
you
people who
asked
overstay.
very interesting question,
Yeah.
and I think you come across to me more politician rather than banker.
No,
To be
I think
fair,
you're better off as a
this
journalist.
question is highly asked or criticized in England.
Yeah.
True.
Why Ukrainians get more favorable treatment when it comes to refugees? Why not other countries?
Yeah.
Right. So England has its take on it. To be fair,
Right.
their Home Secretary has explained we can. They said we are for everybody. When there was war in Iraq, when there was war in Afghanistan,
Right.
when there was war in Syria,
Right.
or Libya, wherever, we always took the people on board.
Yeah.
So now this is the time for Ukraine. Even they took the people from Afghanistan, I think up to 25,000, that's what they promised.
But not more than Pakistan. I think, you know, if we talk about refugees, I think Pakistan has a larger number of it. It all depends on having a big heart. But we'll come down to that.
I agree on that
Yeah,
as well.
but
I
we-
agree.
But our, you know, a point of discussion today
Yeah.
is people who've overstayed, you know,
Yeah.
people who are planning to go to England as well. And, you know, just answering up what Hajar said, I believe that, you know, people over there, they're very safe, you know, so they would use their mouth to say whatever, but they will never use their hands. So I think whatever people have to say, you certainly do not have to bother about that because the country is very inclusive, first of all. I mean, imagine, we just saw Rehan Ahmed playing, representing England in the Test series
I
as
mean,
well.
that's
I-
debatable.
Okay,
okay.
but we'll talk about it. But now, sir, you know, for example, people who overstayed, I've seen that they waste a lot of money. When do you think that they need to realize that they're in denial and they really need to understand that, you know, nothing's going to happen with my immigration and that I need to save all the money I have and go back to my country?
Right. This is a very good question. I definitely like to explain in very detail.
Sure.
People think once they get into UK, there's a no world after that.
Yeah.
Right. Going to UK back in days or going to UK now, there's a lot of difference. It's a lot easier to get a visa for United Kingdom, for England,
Yeah.
compared to back in England. Your youth is very educated. Your youth is more skillful. That's what England is needed.
Yeah.
There was a culture of going to England through illegal means.
Right.
That culture is almost or is
Over.
diminishing
Yeah.
or
Right.
is going down day by day because UK have very strict policies and resources
Right.
on the border, and that's why Brexit took place, because they want to take control of their borders.
Yeah.
Right. Country like England, where youth is very skillful, I'll be very honest and blunt with you. Pakistan, youth is very talented, youth is very educated, youth is not as it used to be back in days.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we do not need to do anything. At the end of the day, you not put yourself in trouble as well as you give bad name to the country.
True. Right.
Now, UK government has made a special agreement with Pakistani government as
Okay.
well as other countries that if any of us stay in the UK, you take them back, then we give more visas to your country because you are law-abiding country with our immigration system.
True.
Very good move. That discourage people to go to England by illegal means.
Exactly.
Now-
But then how does it impact your business? Because that's where the solicitors come in, you know, for people who have been moving to UK, that too illegally, or people who've overstayed. That's where your job comes in.
Right. Our business is not to represent illegal people.
True.
Our job is to advise to the talented people. Right. I was in a show recently. There was a visa, UK artist visa.
Yeah.
Whoever has talent in dance, media, post animation, or culture or theatre, we can help them. And the new UK government, they want to take more brilliant people to the country. That's why the minister said that we will lay the red carpet for young, talented, educated people. That's why the new visa scheme called Global Talent Visa was introduced recently.
Wow.
Students, okay, I'll tell you something interesting. 39% of the UK university budget is funded by the foreign students.
Yeah.
Right? So our business tilts more towards that. And personally, I don't want to see human being in miseries or live without a valid visa status.
True.
At the end of the day, it gives bad name to your country as well.
That's very true. And Shahzad, we've seen that a lot of Pakistani students, or I think students from South Asia, consider England as a destination to acquire higher education. I think one of the reason is because English is spoken there and they don't have to face a lot of language barriers. But the Rishi Sunak recently mentioned that he is considering the cap on the foreign students coming there. How does that policy lays out? Does that mean that students who are considering UK as their destination for acquiring education, should they look to some other countries?
Very good question. I would like to answer this thoroughly. Right. What happened since COVID? There was obviously closure to the UK economy as well as other world countries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Especially the Western countries hit very badly.
True.
Right. Okay. Because their country revenue based on the people coming from visa national countries. So what England has done after 10 years almost, they opened the new visa scheme called post-study work visa. You complete your degree and you get 2-year open work permit.
Like in Australia or Canada.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when sooner they announced this, people especially from India and Pakistan, their students found the opportunity. We spend, let's say, £15,000 over there for 1 year, complete our degree and get 2-year open work permit. We can earn this money back, plus we get experience within the UK.
Okay.
So when they opened this,
Right.
I myself seen thousands of people, students flee to England.
Okay.
Whether general student or not, that's a different debate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of them has taken their dependents, children under the age of 18 and
Okay.
spouses with them,
Okay.
especially in India and Africa.
Okay.
So when it came to the attention of their current now civil women into
Home
their
Minister.
attention,
Yeah.
they said, well, on the name of education visa, the net migration rate really hit the high, probably highest in last decade or so.
Yeah.
Right.
So now they are thinking, and by the end of the show, they probably made the new laws. You can come to student on certain universities, certain courses, don't bring your dependents, and there might not be PSW. I don't confirm officially, but there are news circulating around.
That this might happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
But on the other side, what we would say, go to the regulated people, either in England, and there are a lot of brilliant lawyer immigration advisors in Pakistan or elsewhere who can guide you through, who can, based on your career, they can tell you which visa you have to go for.
Yeah.
Just don't go blindly because somebody else got a visa, student visa, you should go there. No, don't do so, please.
Yeah.
Things get wrong when you make the wrong choices, you choose the wrong visa, and you choose the wrong reason to go to England. Please come to England, right visa, right strategy, right planning, and with the right person. Then your life would be a lot easier.
Yeah, so let's talk about it as well. I mean, obviously for people who are 18 or 20 and looking to study, but they actually want to overstay as well, or probably just want to stay back in the England or UK, what do you think they should opt for? Obviously, the only option is a student visa.
Right.
To get started with.
Unfortunately, this is a myth.
Okay.
Yes, you are right. The easiest, quickest, and more certain option is a study visa or a student visa.
Yeah.
However, there's a new scheme called Global Talent Visa Scheme that was introduced. If you are, let's say, you're a great anchor media person, you can come on this visa, right? You can learn from there. You can, once you're obviously in the country, in the UK, you can make inroads. You can look for the ventures.
True.
Look, UK economy is brilliant, vibrant. I must have told you.
True.
Right? UK is the land of opportunity. We used to say America. Yes, America is, but UK is as good as to any other country, especially the whole Europe.
True.
A, the culture. B, the diversity. C,
The
the pound
language.
sterling.
Right.
Political instability. Yes, there's a little bit of hiccups recently, but and it's very diversified, especially for Pakistanis. This is the center of your politicians, center of your artists, center of your food, religious freedom. Based on that, I must say, and there are a lot of Pakistanis over there. You always feel homely feeling over there.
True, true.
Right?
Because there are a lot of Pakistanis there, right?
Yeah.
Yes, there are a lot of Asians there,
It's just the
Pakistani in
sun, I
particular.
think. It's
there's-
just the sun and the chapati we don't get over there. I mean, how can you have
Well,
pita bread every day?
I
be
think you
fair-
can get chapati if you're smart
No,
enough
but
to find it.
I think because the only thing we get over there is the pita bread, and that's something which me
I
and
think
my
you
father
need-
do
you
not
need
like
to
at all.
put more effort in that because
I think we can
get
do it
chapati.
ourselves. You know, there are roti makers in place as well, and then you know,
There,
Tandoors.
I'll be
Yeah.
honestly, yes, recently, well,
I'm
last
having
10
chippy
years,
most of the
a
time.
lot has been changed. If you go to Asian areas, Pakistani
True,
areas,
true.
there are beautiful restaurants over there. But what you have to do, there is another Pakistan within UK.
Yeah.
I must have said that. The same way there is another Europe in Pakistan, When I visited Islamabad this morning, I couldn't feel the difference whether I'm in the Europe or within Islamabad.
Thank you. Thank
So
you very much for saying that.
Yes, look, Islamabad, as far as I know, one of the world's best cities
Capitals, yes.
in the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
People are friendly, must have tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a bit lost.
And it's cheap too, right?
It's
Yes,
not cheap though, by the
but
way.
I wouldn't
I mean,
say
for us not, but I think for someone who's living in the England, it's
Yeah, yeah,
very
obviously.
cheap for them, right?
no for
For
me
them,
even
even
not.
Dubai is cheap, yeah. Coming, earning in pounds and then spending in dirhams or probably Pakistani rupee, not cheap.
But
at
one
all.
thing I must say, if I say England is a land of opportunities, Pakistan is a land of resourceful people.
Exactly.
True.
People, our youth is very, very, very skilled.
True.
And to be fair, look at the UK Parliament, look at the UK doctors,
Yeah.
engineers,
Even mayors these
lawyers,
days.
mayors. There's a lot of Pakistani
True.
touch.
Yeah.
So let's not take away this credit. There is a talent. It just needs the right management,
Right.
right strategy, and I'm sure Pakistan
Inshallah.
it
Inshallah.
would
So
be
very
sorry.
quickly towards the end, there's just one last thing which I wanted to mention over here, and that is that, after Brexit, obviously, there will be a lot of human resource required by UK. And do you think that this will open up new opportunities for people to come from other countries and work for UK?
It already has.
Yes, exactly.
It already have. Right now, the UK started, like I said in the beginning, global talent visa, student visa, and there are other so many short-term visa, charity visa,
True.
which I was doing a lot of work. You don't have to have any qualification. You can come to the UK,
And just-
stay there for 1 year, seasonal worker visa. There's a lot of opportunities in the UK. Unfortunately, the Britishers over there, they're not as into the labour market
True.
as they should have been. It's because the culture of the UK is based on the foreign labour. Same in the Gulf countries.
True.
True.
But in the UK, you get paid very, very well paid
True.
compared to Gulf countries.
Exactly.
Hence, people find it very attractive. And I'll tell you something interesting. Being practicing immigration law in the UK is a very lenient towards granting citizenship as compared to the rest of the Europe.
Exactly.
Yes.
Recently, they got a bit tight, to be fair, because
Right.
they got to be because of
The population was increasing. It was
right.
off charts.
Yeah.
Exactly. But thank you very much for being
Thank
with
you
us.
so
Lovely
much.
to be in conversation with you. And how do you think that for anybody who was watching our show today can get in touch with you? Please look into the camera, touch
right.
them.
In order to get in touch with me, you can contact City Law Practice Solicitor or my City Group. I am mainly based in Birmingham, but we have offices across London, which is the capital, and other cities. Now we live in a digital age. We're just a phone call away.
Yeah.
Hard to answer all the time or personally, but we have team of lawyers, British lawyers, barristers. We're always there for our youth, for the talented, skillful people in Pakistan or wherever the Pakistanis are in the world, not just within Pakistan, out of Pakistan, or anybody who want to come to the UK. Even they're not Pakistani, we welcome everybody. That's what the Pakistani culture is all about.
Exactly,
Wonderful.
that's wonderful. And just very quickly, for anybody who's actually going to call and kind of, tell them that that you watched them on World this morning, there's a 20% fee cut as well. Done?
Okay, I happily make this announcement. Whoever mentioned PTV World, whoever mentioned
Shahzad
Hajra
and Adra, yes.
and Shahzad Saab, luckily we wearing the same suit. It just happened by coincidence, and we little bit look alike. Two handsome men. I must have said that.
Well, a 20% fee cut. Done?
20% free discount if they mention PTV World, and if they mention Hajra, I give another 5%, and Shahzad another 6%.
Wow, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us. Wonderful to be in conversation with you. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, one of those subjects which is very close to people over here within the villages of Punjab, or may it be KPK, or may it be Sindh, or may it be Balochistan, or even in Kashmir. So with that, we're actually heading out towards a short break, but today we will be continuing to talk about overseas and their problems, what they face in everyday life. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We'll have another guest. Thank you so much. Good morning. Welcome back. Thank you very much for staying tuned. And before going towards the break, we did mention that we're going to actually continue speaking about the overseas Pakistanis. And obviously, over a longer period of time, ladies and gentlemen, they have contributed towards the national economy as well. And that's something which we are building on. And for that, ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by somebody who earlier used to be with Federal Ombudsman, but now he happens to be the Advocate Supreme Court of Pakistan, senior lawyer. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Mr. Hafiz Ahsan Ahmed Khokhar Sahab. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum, Khokhar Sahab. How are you? Good morning.
Thank you so much. Same to you.
Sir, thank you very much for joining us. You've worked for a longer period of time with Federal Ombudsman and the issues overseas Pakistanis used to face. How do you think? What are the newer ways with newer technologies that the people who actually live outside Pakistan can contribute towards the national development over here?
Shahzad, we always talking about the overseas Pakistanis are big assets of Pakistan. We always talking about they are contributing in our national economy. We always talking about that they have a talent outside Pakistan. But unfortunately, for the last many years, the real talent which they have shown in their respective countries, we have not been able to translate into Pakistan in terms of investment, in terms of the experience in the public policies, in terms of the experience they have done outside Pakistan. So this is a gray area, we need to work on it.
But sir, in addition to that, very sorry, there's one more thing which I've seen, and the trends have changed. Earlier if you go back to people when they moved to England or US back in 1960s, 1970s, either they were laborers, foremen for different industries. And what they used to do was that they had a retirement plan which was in Pakistan, and that they would come back one day, so they would invest all their money over here in land and whatnot.
Right.
Now I've seen that there's this trend where now people getting married wherever they want to. Alhamdulillah, that's their choice. We do not have a say in this. And now their retirement plan is within that country. So imagine that now they're not planning to come back or invest over here or buy properties. Rather, they want to spend the rest of their lives where they've been living already. So do you think that there is this trend, or do you think that I'm overthinking?
No, this is a trend.
Yeah.
And there is two issues and there is two reasons behind that. One is now they've been a long time in their respective countries. They made up their families. They have children. They have their grandchildren. And the most important thing, their parents were living in Pakistan, and now they are no more in the world. So the connection with the family, it has broken. Yeah, it has minimized. So this is the reason the people who are there, now they live there. And even if you talk about in Pakistan, you migrated from a village and come to Islamabad, Lahore and Karachi, and to some extent you've been in touch with your relatives in your respective area, but ultimately you have connections over here, and it would be very difficult to go back to your hometown, Faisalabad or Jhang or Shekhupura. So this is the problem, is not in here, but if you translate from one country to another country, the same is happening over there.
And also we've seen, Shahzad, that migrant issues is obviously a very hot topic, a debatable topic around the world, and Pakistani diaspora is especially very influential one when it comes to the Western countries. So talking about, and they have contributed monetarily a lot to Pakistan's economy in terms of remittances and whatnot, how can Pakistani diaspora contribute towards the nation building in the non-monetary terms?
This is, the perception everywhere, not in Pakistan, but the people who are living outside Pakistan, they want to contribute in Pakistan, in not only in the investment side, but the nation building as well. If you compare with other countries like India, like China, like Philippines and like Turkey, their overseas have contributed a lot, not only in terms of the investment, but in terms of the capacity building or the nation building of their IT transfers in that area. There is an issue in Pakistan. The issue is, one, there should have not been a strong government policies on both sides. There should be the trust deficit which should have been, it is lacking over there, and then there is a political instability. This is a major cause for the last many years. The overseas Pakistanis who struggled over there, and they have no so much trust over the policies and the government functioning in Pakistan. This is a major obstacle for their participation in
And
Pakistan.
also the expat community or the diaspora community, obviously they are very potential brokers of the diplomatic relations, and that is why the host countries try to keep good relations with them because they're influential people out there, right?
Exactly, but you know, there's not a major population of the people who are really very influential. I mean, most of the time.
But I mean, there are influential
Obviously,
people.
there are.
Right.
That's not what I'm taking away from people who are out there as well. But
Right.
I think certainly what we really need to pick up on is that unfortunately, whenever you know our economy is not stable, every other time we're looking forward to people who happen to be overseas Pakistanis, that they're going to send in remittances, and that's where the economy is going to work in, and it obviously plays a very crucial role for the country, and they really need to be proud of it. But what are the other means that they can contribute toward national development? Is it just the remittance, or do you think that there can be other ways and mediums through which we can actually develop our country?
If Shehzad, you will look at only we talk about the remittances and the remittances. The only benefit which we have received in Pakistan, the remittance is there as a dollars or there is a pound in Pakistan, but ultimately there is no, a big contribution in our national economy. The home remittances are being sent to their families, and it is being spent to the families, and not on the business side. But on the other side, which is very important, that we have, mashallah, around more than 10 million overseas Pakistanis living outside Pakistan.
I think the number is large enough. I
If
think 10 million is
10
not the
million,
right
if we
number.
talk about those persons who have the legal status and the data which is available
So
in
that's 10
Pakistan,
million.
it is more than that. Even in last 2-3 days, there is another report coming on that around 7.5 lakhs they have migrated to Pakistan, they have left to Pakistan. So there is a constant, the people are going outside Pakistan, and there is also a big brain drainage in Pakistan. Whosoever has got a good degree, either in terms of the doctors, in terms of the engineering, or
IT
even
now
IT
even,
inside, they are migrating, and this would be a big loss. After 2, 3, 5 years, you will see that all the people who are, you have invested in Pakistan on those institutions, and they are migrating from Pakistan. This would be a big hurdle for Pakistan economy.
And sir, in addition to that, that's not it. Imagine, so we had a group of people, I think we were observing this World Cancer Day, and we were in conversation with a lot of doctors. And I was shocked with what they said. They said that for all of that human resource we prepared, during COVID, that God forbid if there's going to be another epidemic or pandemic, that we have a skilled workforce. Imagine that they have been sucked out of the system and they're already outside the country. And we really need to kind of sit down and think about, making sure that that brain drain is not going to cause us more damage, because I think it's just going up and up. It's not coming back, and it's not coming down. And
But Shehzad, that also lends us an opportunity to rethink our approaches, because obviously the people who go outside, they work there, they acquire a lot of knowledge, a lot of talent, and a lot of job experience in terms of that. And China has very successfully reintegrated back all of that diaspora which was working in the capitals there, especially in terms of the IT transfers, in terms of technology. And now they have a very good skilled labor force who's coming back to the country, because government incentivizes that.
Yeah,
na?
but Haja, there's two ways to look at it, and I would certainly want your opinion on that. One is that that people decided this time around that number we're sharing is not because they want to come back. It's because the economy was so unstable that they were like, hey, what, we were low on gas, we were low on electricity, we were low on so many things, and there was so much of political turmoil in the past 6 months that people were already fed up. People want to live peacefully, nicely, or like, okay, I go to my job 9 to 5, come back home, see my kids, wife, stay with my family, that's it. But imagine that every day, even for us to come towards work in the last 6 months was actually quite a hassle. So how do you think that Pakistan can actually stop this brain drain? And then people who've actually flown away, that we become a stable economy, we become a prosperous economy, and that people tend to choose to come back to the country?
There are success stories in the world, and the success stories are like you mentioned about the China, the success stories like the Turkey. The Turkeys overseas, they contributed a lot in their economy and in the different areas like the education, like health and other areas. Most important thing would be that there should be a consistency in the government policies. There should be an environment in Pakistan not in terms of the political stability, but also in terms of the securing the investment and the securing the future in Pakistan. This is the most important area, and we always been talking about, we are very good in discussions, we have very good in ideas, but when we go on the in terms of the implementations, we are weak on this side, and the government should work on this side. If you talk about in terms of investment and in terms of the remittances, only the overseas Pakistanis, they are contributing. And on the other side, if you talk about the foreign direct investment, it is less than $1 billion in Pakistan. If your Pakistanis, they are not contributing in your FDI, then no one outside the world can come to Pakistan.
Thank you very much, Khokhar Saab, for being
Thank
with
you so
us and
much.
sharing, your insightful thoughts. Because I think that's where we really need to head towards. And for everybody who's out there, once again, I think I would certainly want to thank on behalf of the people of Pakistan to the overseas Pakistanis, because you've been a major contributor in the development process as well. And just while we were speaking about it, I thought about where Mian Muhammad Nawaz Sharif Sahab, when he was the Prime Minister of Islamic Republic of Pakistan, opened up gates for a lot of FDI by saying that you can bring in any money and we won't tax it, and it won't even be on the tax net as well.
True.
And
I
still
think-
it is being continued in 1992 Reforms Act, it is continuing.
Yeah, so that's what it is. I think, that's what we really need to continue with. But, once you bring it in, then you come enter the tax net now. I think that's,
But the
that's what
most
problem
important
is.
thing, we should re-overhaul our governance system. This is the main obstacle and hurdle,
Yeah.
not only in terms of investment, but for promoting the human development in Pakistan.
Thank you very much, Khokhar Saab, once again.
you so
And,
much.
may you have some amazing cases for your Supreme Court advocacy
Thank
as
you
well.
so much.
For people who are out there, very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, one of our team members' daughter's birthday happens to be today. Her name is Faliha Umair. She's going to turn 1. So, Faliha, a very happy hash day to you. May you have many more. Please make sure that you do not turn out to be like your father, because I know he's a great guy, but please make sure that you have your own journey, do whatever you want to do in life, achieve, prosper, get successful, alhamdulillah, with all the prayers from your parents. What a cute baby, mashallah. Even though I'm not a big fan of sharing babies' pictures on television or social
Yeah.
media,
Yeah.
but obviously it was their parents' I think
Desire,
cause
yeah.
of happiness, so why not? Happy Hajj Day, Faliha Umair, to you once again. And Hajar, you going to sing her the song?
Yeah, so happy birthday to you.
May
Happy
you have
birthday to
many
you.
more. Happy birthday, dear Faliha. Make
Happy
sure you're
birthday
not
to
like Umair. Thank you very much. Happy birthday. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3.
Good
morning.
morning.